I remember every bunk I ever had in prison. I remember when I got to the county jail, what that bunk was like. I remember my first week in prison. I remember when I got my first bottom bunk after sleeping on the top bunk. That honestly was probably one of the happiest moments for me because climbing up and down on the top bunk, especially in the middle of the night, and just going to the restroom, having a light in your face. So being on a bottom bunk, it kind of shields the light from you. It just felt like such an upgrade. I remember the worst sleeping experience I had when I was in prison. So I was at a prison for a year and then I was put in the SHU. And you would think the SHU would be the worst, right? Because the SHU is an isolation cell. It's very small and the bunk is just like hard metal and it's small and you're sleeping on a little tiny mattress, like a little sheet of a mattress, and they don't give you a pillow in there. So you learn how to make your own pillow with the clothing that you have, this kind of your uniform, you wrap it up and put a towel around it. But that was not the worst for me. I was there for about 3 weeks and then I was transferred on Con Air, which is a real thing. And I went from detention center to detention center for several weeks until I landed in Oklahoma, Grady County, Oklahoma. That was the worst sleeping experience of my life. They had what they call boats, which are these little plastic things on the ground, and they're not very clean. And they give you a mat that honestly smells very moldy. Like you're pretty sure that that mat has gotten wet and been used and left in a corner, and it just, and then they give you a blanket and it's so uncomfortable. But the hard part is it's really cold. It's like a big open room and it's extremely cold. And so and you're all just kind of lined up around this room. And I remember curling up in a ball and and I don't even know if they gave me a clean towel. I'm pretty sure I took anything I could and wrapped it over my face and just curled up in a ball. And I was there for 3 days, and that was by far the most uncomfortable experience while I was in jail. I shouldn't say that because I was left in an isolation cell in a county jail that was really miserable for 10 days that I wasn't allowed out to shower or anything. So that was pretty rough. What's surprising is that until you experience it, because I'd never been to jail or prison until this was in my 40s. I was like, there's a whole bunch of people that live like this. You get used to it. You develop a routine in those types of situations, like survival skills pop in. And by the time I left prison, I felt like, do whatever you need to do to me. I can handle my own self. I have sat in really cold isolation cells and seen people wrap themselves with toilet paper just to get warm. And that stuff is all happening all over our country all the time.